Well, hello everybody and happy Monday. How are you? My name is Scott Pinyard. I am the head coach here at This Naked Mind, and I am live today like I am almost every Monday. Every once in a while I don't get one. Schedules get crazy. But I want to come here and talk about things that I see, things that I see going on in our communities, questions that people are asking me, what people are seeing and talking about, and I want to tell you my thoughts on them, and I want to also answer your questions. So if you are watching this, go ahead and type in a question. Actually, type in a comment. Say hello. I love when I hear from people when I'm going live. It's always good to know, like, all right, there's people out there listening. You know, I'm standing here talking to a camera, so it's always like, is this actually working? All right, Kathy from Wisconsin, you win. You said hello first. Today, I want to talk about what I think is probably one of, if not the most underrated, hello Annette, one of, if not the most underrated ideas when it comes to this journey we're on with alcohol, which is progress. Super underrated. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But first, if you are considering joining us for our first ever Path Freedom Accelerated class, your time is running out. This class is going to kick off on July 1st. It's just a few days away from now. So if you want to join us, head on over to nakedmindpath.com. You can get signed up. There is still time. This is the accelerated version of the path. This is only 3 months long. We have figured out a way to help people shift their thinking so quickly that we wanted to give it to you in its accelerated form. So head on over to nakedmindpath.com to sign up there. I will also say, and I've never done this before, and this might be a terrible idea. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out together. If you are not sure if this is for you, email me. And you can email me at coachscott@thisnakedmind.com. That comes straight to me. I will answer your questions. I will help you figure that out. And I want to give you fair warning. My goal in life is to help as many people as possible find freedom. The path is the best way I know to do that. So if you email me, I am going to help you figure out a way to say yes to yourself and join us over on the path. So again, that's coachscott@thisnakedmind.com. If I can help you with anything, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you have ideas, if you're like, hey, I'd love you to talk about this one week, email it to me there as well. I'll be happy to talk through it. Let's see, a couple other people. Georgia, hello. Alice, hey, Alice, how are you? So I'm going to talk about this idea of progress. As I am talking, please feel free to send in comments, send in questions. I'll make sure and get them to them as I get toward the end. So, one thing that I do, when I'm looking at all of our different communities here on Facebook, over on the app, is I'm always curious to see what people are talking about, right? Like where people, especially people who are new to us, because I see myself as an ambassador. I get to be like, hey, look at this thing. There's a different way of looking at it. And there's one topic, like consistently, when someone joins us from a different group, from a different place, from a different program, whatever that might be, when someone joins us there, one thing that I see over and over and over is this idea of progress gets super shortchanged, right? So let me tell you what I mean. So the way that most of us have defined this journey is we've said, you know what, I am drinking too much, or I want to quit drinking and I can't. And so we define the goal as not at all drinking. It's a very black and white thing. Right? I have said, hey, Joyce, how are you? We have said, all right, I'm going to quit drinking. And so I am completely and totally done. So the only thing that is success here is quitting drinking, not drinking. That is it. There is nothing else. Right? And it makes a lot of sense, right? Because this is how we've been told to change, right? This is how we expect things to change. That's certainly how we want it to feel, right? We have this idea like, I'm in a bad place right now. I want to be in a better place. And there is a straight line from here to there. Here is the problem with that. That isn't how we change. It is never how we change. It's never going to be how we change. As humans, we are significantly more complex than that. right? We don't, you can think of a million different examples. One of my favorite ones, we talk about this sometimes in our live events when Annie and I do those, is the idea of a baby learning to walk, right? Picture this just for a second. So like I have an 8-month-old at home, right? She's really like, she's ready. She's getting close. She wants to start crawling, and after that's going to be walking. Imagine what would happen if I said to Edie every time she fell down, from the very first time she stood up, every time she fell down, if I'm like, that's terrible, you're never going to walk, what's wrong with you, right? Like, I know, and I'm using a baby as an example because it's really jarring. Because when I point this out, you say, no, 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 that's not what you do. You encourage her, right? You clap for her. You say, good job, way to go, right? Because that's the process. The process is taking a few steps and falling down. And the thing that's important, the thing that we talk about, the thing that we get excited about is the fact that today you only took 2 or 3 steps in a row, but next week you take 6 steps in a row. That, friends, is progress. And what I'm trying to say is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with celebrating progress. As a matter of fact, the journey is progress. So, I talk to people who come into our programs all the time, and they'll say something along the lines of like, oh, I've just had so many day ones, right? I've just messed up so many times. And, I can't do this, right? And they're defining this as living completely and totally alcohol free. And they are negating the fact that every single time they've tried, they've gotten better at it. I'll talk about that more in a second. I want to address some comments here because I see them. And hi, to those of you who just joined us, go ahead, send me questions, send me comments. I'll be happy to answer them as I go through. Annette just said, I'm in the current February path, and I have to say I'm learning so much. I'm no longer drinking every day, still not totally alcohol free, but progress. Yes, that's what's happening for me. It's very exciting. Yes, I am so happy to hear that, Annette. And that's what this is all about, right? One of the things that I think we overlook because, and I'm going to get into why we do this in a minute, but like one of the things that we overlook is how any of us have learned anything, right? All of us constantly, anytime we learn something new, mess up. Why is it? Like, have you ever stop to think about this? Like, if you were, let's say you were going to go learn how to shoot a bow and arrow, for example, right? One of my hobbies, right? You're like, I'm going to go learn how to shoot a bow and arrow. You stand at the line and you pull back on the bow and you let go and it hits the target, but it's not a bullseye. Are you going to be like, dude, what's wrong with me? No, you're not. You're going to say, wait a minute, I've never done this before. I should practice some more. I should make progress. The thing is, and research shows this too, and there's a lot of different research on this. One of my favorite, just because it has a really kind of badass sounding phrase that I'm about to say in it, is this idea that celebrating progress actually keeps you moving forward. That it's not about success or failure, that it's that we keep going. And so in this study, was looking at compassion-based change versus compulsion-based change. Compulsion-based meaning like 0 tolerance, black or white, either you do it or you don't, versus, hey, you know what, having compassion for ourselves, recognizing that we're making a big change. And what the study found was that the compassion-based change was significantly deeper and longer lasting because, and here's the cool phrase, because it allowed what the study called temporary deviant behavior. Right? What does that mean? It means you do the thing you're trying not to do, right? It means that if you have this idea of like, hey, I'm making progress, if you are not expecting perfection out of yourself from the beginning for the entire journey, then you are not going to be putting that pressure on yourself. And if something does happen, right? If you do have what we call a data point, that you can say, this is just part of my journey. And you can look back on the progress that you have made, right? And this is the key thing. This is the heart of what I'm trying to say. No matter what it is that you are working to change, maybe like a lot of us, you're working to change alcohol. Maybe you're working to quit smoking. Maybe you're working to, not have as many judgmental thoughts, right? Whatever it is, your goal is, it is never about the destination. It is always, always, always about that next step along the way. That's what makes the difference. And so often I see people beating the hell out of themselves for not being perfect. So progress is what it's all about. And, one of the things I see over and over when people come and talk to me about this idea is what they will say generally when they ignore progress as a sign, when they ignore this idea of like, man, I want to be moving forward, I am actually getting where I want to go. If they instead say, I will not be happy till I get there, they're much less likely to get there. That is right. What I am saying is that if you do not celebrate progress, if you do not give yourself credit for how far you've come, and we'll talk about what that means because it doesn't always mean what you think it means. If you don't look at that, if you don't say, wow, look where I am today versus a few days ago, if you're not like my daughter and say, wow, I only took 3 steps today, but you know what? I took 2 yesterday. That's progress. If you aren't giving yourself that, you're going to be beating yourself up and causing so much blame and shame. And these are the things. Actually, tell me in the chat, what happens when we go down a blame and shame spiral? Tell me. I'll wait. Actually, I'll take a drink of water. We'll see if anyone knows. But what happens as drinkers, right? If we load ourselves up on blame and shame? Well, I'm going to cut to the chase here because I know I'm on a delay. We drink, right? When we beat ourselves up, it is a huge trigger for us to drink. So what I'm suggesting instead is forget about the black and white. Forget about the end destination. Yes, we're still pointed toward there. Yes, that's still somewhere we want to go, but it isn't the only thing that counts. Right? The thing that counts is the progress along the way. And so that's what I wanted to really get to today, is that if you give yourself credit for the progress, it makes a huge difference. So let's talk a little bit about what progress actually means, because this is another thing that I see when so many people engage with us in various ways, maybe watching this video, hopefully joining us on the path, right? Whatever it is that they do, I see people so regularly only count not drinking as progress. Now, I would completely disagree with that, and I would be happy to argue. And email me, coachscott@thisnakedmind.com, if you're like, that doesn't work. I don't agree with this. Let me know. I'll be happy to take it up with you there. The reality is that this entire process that you're on, it started with a thought. Just having that thought is one step in the right direction. Then learning about things, right? Google searching things. That's actually making progress. Yes, it's not as fast as we necessarily want it to be, but it is progress. It is movement toward your goal, right? That's how I define progress, not arriving at the goal, movement toward your goal. So watching this live, progress, right? Joining us on the path, progress. Deciding to read the book, progress. Talking to a friend who's been through it before, progress. Each and every piece of this is progress. You are moving forward. By the very virtue that you are watching this video, you are one step closer now than you were before you started watching it. And so one of the things that I can't emphasize enough is the idea of celebration, right? Celebrate this progress. Celebrate how you are every single day doing one thing, maybe 2 things that are getting you closer. Because when you do that, when you celebrate your progress as opposed to lament the fact that you're not where you want to be, right? When you celebrate your progress, you are going to feel better every day. And when you feel better every day, what are you more likely to do tomorrow, right? More of the same. More reading, more watching videos, more joining programs, more talking to people who've been there, right? When you celebrate progress, this journey goes from this shame and blame and guilt-ridden and, yeah, like Chevron said, guilt and anxiety, just full journey to, man, I'm getting there. I am making progress. And so that's what I want to leave you with today. I want to encourage you to take a minute as soon as this video is done, and I want you to type it on the video, type it in the comments, but I want you to like close your eyes and say to yourself, I am making progress, and just see how that feels. you're going to notice something. You're going to feel so much better about the fact that you're moving toward this goal, right? When you focus on the progress instead of focusing solely on the end destination, you will feel better every day, and it's going to keep you coming back to do the next piece and the next piece and the next piece. So, progress. Focus on that. Give yourself the gift of celebrating progress. It makes such a massive difference. And it doesn't matter what it is. Again, watching this video, shifting your thinking, if you're in one of our programs, or if you join us on the path, when you learn about this, doing the ACT technique, right? Each piece of this is progress. You deserve credit for each and every piece. This is not a black and white thing. This is not a fail or succeed. This is not a, I can't be nice to myself till I quit, because you're going to hold yourself back. So celebrate your progress. That's what changes things. That's what's actually going to shift this journey from you away from this long, hard, miserable slog to a place where you are happy and excited to keep going. So that is it. That is all I had for you today. A very simple idea, but one thing that I see over and over and over, people just beating themselves up about is just not celebrating progress. And so I'm going to wrap up. Again, if you are ready and you want to make another step of progress today, go to nakedmindpath.com and sign up to join us for the July class of the Path. This is a life-changing program. This will shift the way that you think about alcohol. And by the way, the coaching in there is going to help you celebrate that progress that I was just talking about today. This is our flagship program. This is the program that has helped thousands of people shift their thinking about drinking so that going alcohol-free becomes so much easier and so much better than it ever would have been before. So if that is interesting to you, go to nakedmindpath.com. And I will say, if you need help in saying yes to yourself, if you're like, man, I got some questions, I just don't know if this path thing is right for me, shoot me an email, coachscott@thisnakedmind.com. That comes straight to me. I will answer your questions. And again, fair warning, I am persuasive. I really, really believe in this, and I'm going to help you find a way to say yes to yourself to join us over in the path. So go ahead and send me an email if you would like, coachscott@thisnakedmind.com, or if you are ready, and I hope you are, go to nakedmindpath.com and get signed up today. Doors close in just a few days. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today, and I will see you again next week. Take care.